How's it going, comic book fans, and specifically Valiant Comics fans? Welcome to a special episode of Comic Drops where we're going to do something a little different. Today, we're going to be taking a look at the less popular characters, the less widely known events, and the less prominent teams in the Valiant universe, and discuss which ones should be given a reboot or their own first series. There's certainly a lot to discuss in this video, so let's get started, shall we? Now, the Valiant universe is a massive place with over 1,500 characters. So who do you think will make the list? Stay tuned to find out. Alright, let's discuss number 5 on our list of obscure Valiant properties, the Were-Wars, as featured in Unity issue number 25. Alright, so our first stop on this countdown relates to a passing 4-page story in the final issue of Valiant Entertainment's relaunch of Unity, everyone's favorite Valiant team-up book. This side story was called Old Man Warrior and featured, well, Old Man Eternal Warrior fighting werewolves. How awesome is that? While we don't have a lot of context for this short story, we do know this. Old Man Eternal Warrior must protect the new Geomancer, who is actually a balding old man archer. There's a lot of old going around in this story for some reason. Essentially, the Valiant heroes have all been infected with a virus, causing them all to turn into werewolves. Then, where Ninjak attacks Geomancer Old Man Archer, biting him on the neck. Now, you can't have the Geomancer becoming a werewolf, so in an act of desperation, Old Man Gillid throws his secret weapon at the Were Ninjak, the severed hands of Quantum and Woody. Don't ask me how he got them, I really don't know. They do that cling thing and kill Archer and Ninjak with the energy that pulses outward. Then the Eternal Warrior becomes the Geomancer, wields Aric's lightning sword, and cuts the earth in half, all to end the Were-Wars. Just wow. So why is this event awesome? So what? Well, did you not just listen to my synopsis of this short story? I think it's pretty self-explanatory, but let's talk a few specifics. First, just take a look at Eternal Warrior in this shot. He is old, gray, and grizzled. He's wearing Shanhara on his right hand. He's got armor and a pistol in the other hand, and has Quantum and Woody's severed hands wrapped around his waist. Now, I don't know about you, but that is the most awesome version of the Eternal Warrior that I've ever seen. Plus, look who he is surrounded by. The werewolf versions of Dr. Mirage, Malgam, Divinity. Really don't understand that one. Bloodshot, Ivar, Major Palmer, and Faith. No, this does not make her better in my opinion, and it does not make me a fan of hers. Anyways, if you look around him, he's also teaming up with Armstrong, Livewire, and get this, the Bad Eggs. How many of you guys remember them? Now again, I don't know why they're there, but I'm sure there's a story to be told that all of us Valiant fans would really be interested in. And come on, this whole setup is amazing fan service. Can we just take a moment to admire an Exo lightning sword that spans the entirety of the Earth? And the epicness of then the Eternal Warrior wielding it to cut the Earth in half? It just doesn't get much better than this. Hey Valiant, if you're watching this right now, put Mauro Mantea on this project, please. Lastly, why should we revisit the Were-Wars? Well, if what I discussed above isn't enough for you, how about this? In the span of 4 pages, this side story has packed an amazing premise, awesome fan service, and some of the most action-packed scenes into a digestible story that makes me happy to be a Valiant fan. What more could you ask for? All right, next, let's discuss number 4 on our list of obscure Valiant properties, punks. Punks is a satirical take on Harbinger, written by Keith Giffen and drawn by Claude St. Aubin, filled with more hilarious absurdity, especially relating to consumerism, overreach, and the influence media has on society. The series only ran for 3 mainline issues, with an additional special issue called Manga Punks. So what's going on in this series? Well, the absorbing Aztlan and contorting Cram investigate the Harbinger Foundation's latest project, body snatching the underclass in Acclamation, Oregon. Yes, that's the actual town. Meanwhile, the streets are being repopulated by a collective intelligence of faceless ghouls with ideas of their own called the Call. Also, Acclamation, Oregon gets its very own superhero in the name of Crimson Pigeon and a half-man, half-clown nemesis. Does it sound nutso enough for you yet? We even get a cameo from the intellectual comic mind of Scott McCloud, author of Understanding Comics in one of the story arcs. And lastly, the Harbinger Foundation faces opposition from a video game company called, get this, PMS, the Paramilitary Shrew. Then, after the mainline series, Manga Punks takes readers to Tokyo, where Gurigan, the behemoth, sets its sights on Acclamation, Oregon, causing Cram to enlist the help of Tetsuan Nucleo, the Monster Slayer. It's essentially a Godzilla ripoff. Of course, more action-packed absurdity occurs as they take on Gurigan in a human versus kaiju battle. After the special edition of Manga Punks, the property has laid dormant since 1996, almost 30 years at this point. So why is this series so awesome? Well, not only does it parody one of Valiant's flagship properties in Harbinger and the serious tone of that comic, it also tries to provide commentary on socially relevant topics and the comic industry as a whole. The mainline characters are also interesting and are refreshingly deviant in how they go about handling each of the situations presented in the comic. Aztlan can only have powers she absorbs from others after she ceremoniously sacrifices them. Cram's only power is he can literally cram himself into any space no matter the size. Hellion can set herself on fire, is bulletproof and has a robotic hand that shoots homing missiles. Frontline is impervious to damage and once in motion cannot be stopped by anything. And Gutter Rat can create an electromagnetic field that distorts gravity and the laws of physics to do all kinds of crazy things. Plus, the series has cameos from a multitude of popular culture characters, from Andy Griffith to the Joker to Scott McCloud himself. At this point, I think it's obvious as to why this series needs to be revisited by Valiant. After updating the characters, modernize the premise to be a satire of the modern Valiant universe, and include all kinds of popular culture cameos from movie personalities, celebrities, video games, and other comics. The potential for drawing a big crowd with celebrity cameos and hilarious social commentary is endless with this series. Okay, for our next obscure property in the number 3 spot is none other than Bad Eggs. So The Bad Eggs is a comedy series published by Acclaim Comics, originally under the Armada imprint. It was created by writer Bob Layton and artist Don Perlin. May he rest in peace. The series focuses on a duo of dinosaurs with bad attitudes by the names of Claude and Ripped. These dinos are about as edgy as you can get in the 1990s, playing up on all the tropes and comedy bits you would expect. Claude and Ripped thumb their noses at T-Rexes, brontosaurs, pterodons, and basically anything bigger than they are. They're rude, they're crude, and they have vile personal habits. Each adventure they go on is more ridiculous than the last, including, but not limited to, Claude becoming a vegan, even though he's a carnivore, mentoring the first vestiges of the human race only to fail miserably, tapeworms reporting the news, being abducted by aliens, and cameos from celebrities including William Shatner and Steven Spielberg. Overall, this is a comedy book through and through, set in the backdrop of the age of dinosaurs. Alright, so you're probably wondering, what makes this book awesome? Well, it all goes back to the premise. Uncensored social commentary as seen through the eyes of the anti-establishment edgy dinosaurs clawed and ripped. No subject seems to be off the table for these two dinosaurs, and the story arcs they live through to comment on in modern life is just a series of more absurd and hilarious events, one after the other. I mean, seeing aliens, William Shatner, and Steven Spielberg all featured in a comic book with anthropomorphic dinosaurs is just storytelling perfection. Now, of course, I grew up in the 90s, and the foul mouths and disgusting nature of this comic perfectly mimicked the popular humor of the time and was right up my alley. Unfortunately, I didn't know this existed until I was in my 30s, but I can still appreciate it for what it was meant to be. A no-holds-barred social commentary comedy comic that uniquely sets itself apart from everything else that was being released at the time. So why should this Valiant property be revisited? I mean, can you imagine the social commentary that could make its way into this comic in today's social and political climate? It would be hilarious. The wealth of topics that could be touched on in a new Bad Egg series are endless. Clawed and Ripped could be reimagined as the most cringy and edgy dinosaurs by today's standards, and then treat modern society as their own personal riff track. Of course, all this would take place in the Jurassic Age to ground it in another reality, so it's not too on the nose. Overall, this is a golden opportunity for Valiant to do something wholly unique that you never see in the comics industry. Alright, and the second position of our list is none other than the Red Brigade. You're probably thinking, that Red Brigade? Well, no, not the historical Red Brigade. We're talking about the team that showed up in the pages of Divinity 3 Stalinverse after Mishka warped reality into essentially an Earth dominated by Russian might. In the dark, twisted timeline of the Stalinverse, each member of the Red Brigade was specially recruited by the Soviet Union for their abilities and loyalty to Russia. They performed missions both for the safety of the Union and more politically minded missions based on keeping public goodwill, such as planting the Soviet flag on Mars. Just to refresh your memory about what happened in Divinity 3, Toyo Harada and Colin King, or Ninjak, hatched a plan to free Divinity from Russian custody so he could set the world back to its normal state. When the Russian government discovered this, the Brigade was sent after them, nearly defeating all of the heroes. The Brigade's leader Mishka, however, was sympathetic to the cause of the rebels, so she allowed them to secretly go free. Once Divinity was free and restored the Earth's greatest heroes like Exo, Shadow Man, and the Eternal Warrior back to their normal states, the Brigade refused to join them, and they battled Divinity's forces. Divinity himself battled the creator of the Stalinverse, Kashmir, and eventually convinced him to set the world back to normal. However, Divinity saw the Brigade as brainwashed, so he refused to remove them from history, and they joined the Valiant universe proper. The Red Brigade team consisted of the Red Legend, Pioneer, Kostei the Deathless, and Baba Yaga, each with their own unique backstories. So if it wasn't already clear to you why this property is awesome, think about this. You have a team of Russian superheroes based on Russian myths who broke free of the chains of communist Russia to do their own thing. Each of these heroes has an interesting backstory, and the potential to be brought back into the fold of the Valiant universe is awesome. Now let's take a look at each member of the team. First, you have the Red Legend, the supposed leader of the team, an orphan who grew up enamored by Russian folklore, namely one such myth about a bird called the Red Legend. After discovering that her super strength is related to her motivation and drive, the Russian government recruited her to be a part of the Red Brigade and promote public goodwill. She's the one who planted the Russian flag on Mars. Next, we have the Pioneer, a woman born on the Kuril Islands who is the only person in modern times to be worthy to wield the hammer and axe used to build the sacred cathedral on that island. Her people are massacred by Japanese soldiers, and she single-handedly makes Japan surrender to Russia as revenge in this timeline. Next, we have Koschei the Deathless, an immortal being who gained her powers after touching an extraterrestrial object in 1628. Fearing she would spread infection because of her body literally disintegrating, she was buried alive for 300 years until she was discovered by Russian scientists and recruited into the Red Brigade. Her powers cycle with the moon, where she's human during the full moon and essentially becomes a walking skeleton during the new moon. She also gains a range of abilities during this time like super strength and other skills. Lastly, you have the Baba Yaga, a medium who was created by Rasputin himself during a dark magic ritual. She foretold the coming of divinity, Mishka, and Kashmir, and can shoot energy out of her hands and use other magic spells. So, why should Valiant take another shot at the Red Brigade? Well, there is an immense amount of potential for all of these characters. They all have well-established backstories and were brought into the actual Valiant universe after the events of Divinity 3 Stalinberg. Valiant could explore where these characters are now and whether they would side with the heroes or the villains in the current Valiant universe. Plus, who wouldn't want to see Costade travel to the dead side? That would be awesome. And now, the number one spot on our list goes to the 99. That's right, the one and only, the 99. You know the 99, right? Okay, wait. I know what you're all thinking. Who the heck are the 99? I've never heard of this group in the Valiant universe before, and you better not be throwing some curveball at me. Well, get ready because I'm about to go there. Only the true, hardened Valiant fans know where this conversation is going. Some of you may be elated at this point. Some of you may be cursing me. So yep, we're switching gears to the Acclaim era to a title called Trinity Angels. Now, before you write me completely off, just hear me out. The 99's potential was absolutely squandered during the VH2 era. There is so much potential here that it has to be at the number one spot. So, what's the 99? Let's talk about it. The 99 is a group of social gremlins, mutants, and monsters who, like an infection, afflict Mother Earth, essentially disrupting the natural order of things, polluting to their heart's content, and sowing discord and fear into society. The 99 are creatures that despise the balance and order of Mother Earth. Their very existence serves to destroy, corrupt, pollute, and befoul the planet. The 99 have plagued mankind since recorded history. Whenever there was a story told about gods or other mythological creatures, it is almost certain that the 99 were the source material for those legends. This group is led by the powerful Flaming Queen and features such awesome characters as Big Mean Monkey Head, Blowhard, Prick, Disease Squirrel, Lord of the Fleas, Tongue Lasher, and Siamese Fighting Fish. With names like that, you can't go wrong with the 99. Essentially, the 99 is a huge group of cryptids and paranormal entities bent on destroying the Earth. They've been opposed at all times in many cultures by the Trinity Warriors. But we're not here to talk about that. Alright, so we have a group of 99 cryptid and paranormal entities that want to destroy the Earth. So what? Why is this in the number one spot on this countdown? Well, the beauty of this entry lies solely in the premise of the 99. Imagine in the current Valiant universe the presence of a group of cryptids, a rebooted and revamped 99, that are always present and affecting things in mysterious ways. The 99 in the modern Valiant universe could consist of Bigfoot, the Loch Ness Monster, the Jersey Devil, Chupacabra, Mothman, werewolves, vampires, ghosts, and many other entities that have just become a part of our popular culture. And this also presents an awesome opportunity to ground the Valiant universe in the legends and myths of our reality, to just give it that much more cultural and historical relevance. And to cap off our final obscure Valiant property, why should Valiant give this property another go? In my opinion, the Valiant universe already has some aspects of the 99 that exist within it. The Dead Side, Voodoo, Master Dark's magic antics, Loas, conspiracies, the Far Away, dinosaurs, and everything in between. Why not take it one step further and tie it all together with a newly rebooted 99? I think this is just another way to further strengthen the shared universe aspect of these properties, and it could lead to a universe-spanning event like the Werewars. That's what I'm talking about. The potential craziness that could occur with this property is second to none, and that is why the 99 deserves the top spot on our countdown. So that wraps up our discussion of the more obscure properties in the Valiant universe that deserve another shot at telling a compelling story. Each of the characters, teams, or events that I mentioned in this video have the potential to add something unique and interesting to the already amazing Valiant universe, and give fans some more comic book goodness. Here's hoping that we might see some of these guys in the near future. Of course, don't forget to like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments what you think about my top 5 choices and which characters you would pick to have a second go in the Valiant universe. Check your pool lists, and I'll see you next week with the release of Exo Manowar Invictus issue number 2.